Hey y'all, Austin here with Outer World Media. Welcome back to another video, guys. This is going to be a piggyback on Kevin Tolles' Why You Should Read Louis L'Amour. Kevin was super nice when I commented on his video saying I thought about doing that, over the last couple of years, but it seemed like a daunting task. And Kevin was very encouraging, saying, hey man, give it a shot, piggyback off this, give it a try. And Kevin did such a great job, so I'm going to try and meet the standards that Kevin has, set, but we'll see. Go watch Kevin's video. I will say that Kevin goes into a lot of detail on, the history of Louis L'Amour, what year he was born, how he came to write, westerns and books and whatnot, and it was very, very informative, even for someone like me who is a Louis L'Amour fan. But I'm going to take a different approach. And my approach to why you should read Louis L'Amour is most people assume that he is nothing but a Western author. While he is predominantly, a Western author, and that's what he's mostly written, that could be far from the truth, in all honesty. Louis L'Amour, the best way to sum him up, he is an every genre author. And what I mean by that is he has written Western, historical fiction, supernatural, crime thriller, action, and drama. I mean, he's written just about every single genre there is, and sometimes he blends them together, and it is amazing. So I have some examples here. I'm not going to really delve too much into what each book is about, but just going to kind of tell you what genre it is and whatnot. And again, I'm hoping by the end of this video you will maybe pick up one of his books, because they are easy to get, and that's something Kevin pointed out. Louis L'Amour's books are very easy to get. While they aren't as predominant in new bookstores, but used bookstores really is where he thrives. You could go into a used bookstore, and I can almost promise you and guarantee you 100% they are going to have a section of Louis L'Amour books by themselves. If you go to local Barnes and Nobles, they may or may not have a decent amount of Louis L'Amour books. I know their Western section has gotten smaller over the years, but again, Louis L'Amour is still thriving even years after his passing. I think he's become more popular over the years since he has passed. But without any more interruptions, let's get into those books. The first one is Fair Blows the Wind. This is a historical fiction novel. He has, again, written many historical fiction novels. I guess you really could consider his Westerns historical fiction, but I would stick those in the Western category. Fair Blows the Wind is about a gentleman who comes over to the new land and has to find a way to get back and survive. And this is such a great book. Again, he throws historical fiction here, a survival thriller aspect to it. I mean, again, he has blended so many different genres in that. Then you have The Lonesome Gods, which has a supernatural aspect. If you are a horror fan, I think you will enjoy a good part of this book, because there is a supernatural entity or being that is talked about and referenced in this book by the Native Americans. So, I mean, again, he is throwing quite a bit at you. The historical fiction, you get to see, early California in this book, right after it's been founded and whatnot, and it's booming. I mean, again, he throws a lot at you. There is, westward expansion in this. They come from the east and head over to the west on a wagon train. There's drama in this book. And that's something I would like to say about most of Louis L'Amour's books. They are westerns and dramas, even if they are not, a crime thriller, a character study, whatnot. He, has drama in his books, which is always good, because he never takes himself too seriously, and he might throw a joke or something in there, but it's not anything that's going to be, okay, where are we at? I've lost him. He's taking this way too serious. No, Louis L'Amour is very open with what he has written, and he has done his research. He has written nonfiction books. He wrote an autobiography about himself. I have yet to read this. I've had this book for 4 or 5 years at this point. I've yet to read it, but I need to. So again, he has written, books that are not just Westerns. He has written, nonfiction autobiography books. Then you have like The Walking Drum, which is like a fantasy aspect to it. I have not read this one. I don't think there's dragons or anything like that in it, but it's about like the crusades, and whatnot, and over in medieval Europe and everything. So again, he is an author of many genres. I think if you are a fantasy fan, even if you're a romance fan, there's romances in his books. So, even those that had their certain little niche that they like, I would highly recommend pick up a Louis L'Amour book. There's a 99% chance that he has thrown what you like in the book. one of his best character study books, in my opinion, is No Traveler Returns. Now, he wrote part of this. It's up for debate how much his son Beau L'Amour wrote of this, but this has some of the darkest characters I've ever read in a Louis L'Amour book. As far as what their actions do, how they think. This is a great character study, and I am over the years become someone who is starting to fall more in that category of, okay, if I really like the characters, the story can be okay, but if I really like the characters, I can continue on and like the book. And that is one of these. You have these guys who are trapped on a vessel, if you will, a ship, and he weaves a tale about how they're all connected, even outside the ship, before they got on the ship. This is just at the end of World War II. Again, a very, very enthralling book, very deep character study. Again, a great read. Then you have one of my favorites of his, and that is Last of the Breed. This is a pure action adrenaline book. I mean, again, I don't know, and I've said this before in other videos, I don't know how this is not an action movie at this point. I mean, you have a guy who is a fighter pilot in the Air Force who has captured a POW over in Russia or Siberia, I believe. Let me double check. Siberia. Yeah, he's in a Soviet prison camp. He escapes, and he has to flee and whatnot, and he uses his skills from that he learned from on the reservation here in the U.S. and everything that his ancestors taught him. Again, just a great enthralling book. The ending is one of the best endings I've ever read. Great book. Again, he has a short story collection about about crime and whatnot called The Hills of Homicide. And that's another thing too. He has great short stories, and his characters, while each character, I think most characters share a few of the same traits as far as integrity. Once the main character, integrity, honor, respect. Each character feels like its own, like it's unique, like they're their own person. So again, he has written short stories about crime. Another thing he has written is another short story, probably one of his best short story collection, is Beaudry, about a Texas Ranger. And these short story collection, the first one I think is like 11 pages. Again, but he does such a great job. And each again, character is their own person, even if they are the villain. They are separate from one another, and it just feels fresh every time you read one of his books. He may have a range war going on. He may have, character that's come in from out of town that nobody trusts, and there's somebody has been murdered, and they try to pin on them, and it's a mystery to try to figure out who it was. Again, there's just so many different genres that he has mixed in with one another, and I highly recommend give him a shot. Pick up any of his books. You will I can almost guarantee you're going to enjoy them. And that's another thing too. Most of his books are not very long, so it's not a huge commitment. They're around 200 pages or under. So that's a good thing. If you're on the fence, give him a try. Again, he is an author of many genres. I really think that he is the most prolific author out there as far as, again, blending the genres, making unique characters. While most of his books do have certain stereotypes, again, they stand on their own merit. You can't confuse one with another, in my opinion. But again, guys, that is why I think you should give Louis L'Amour a shot. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you've never read him before and you pick up one of his books. Let me know what you think. I would be more than happy in the comments to give you a recommendation if you want, a good place to start. Again, comment down below. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel and enjoy what you see here. As always, though, I hope you guys have a good one.